All right, well, I've just started my live, so unless you want everybody to hear your business.
Oh my goodness. I'm gonna have, I says, there's my daughter when the phone rang. And Robin says, I'm just going live, so unless you want everybody to hear your business, you're gonna have to leave.
Well, I didn't quite say it like that. Hello, Miss Sheila. Welcome.
So you're underway, are you, at 2:30? Are you underway at 2:30?
How's everybody doing today? I wonder if my live will pop right up, or am I going to have to go find it? The other day, it just popped right in there. Miss Sheila, did any of that information I sent you about saving, pinning it to your page help? I've been working on masks today. And right now I'm working on a headband for masks, which is why, I don't know if you can see it down here, but I have a whole bunch of buttons down here that I'm intending on using on my mask, on my headband for the, to give away. Okay. And get that out of the way. I have some really cute ones. I'm not even sure where I found this fabric, but I had this one, and this is a little bit of fabric left over from something else. So, okay. I'll just, I think I sent you an image of a screen and pointed out where to look for the pin thing. So like things that are your favorites, or, you know, pages that you go to a lot so you can help find them faster. You can just hit this button, but I think I sent it to you. Hang on. Hey, Miss Kathy. Hey, Miss Janice. Let me see here. Oh, did anybody get the update that I accidentally sent out late? I sent out, you know, the cutting instructions for this last night, but then when I got to looking at it today, I realized there was a couple of pieces missing off of it. So I quickly updated it and loaded it on to Instagram, which also loads it to my page, which also, anyways, so an accent color, the 8.5, hey, the 8.5 by 2.5 and the 12.5 by 2.5 were missing. And there should have been 2 each of those. Hang on here, let me see. Okay, well maybe I didn't send it. Thought I did. Hang on. Sheila. Okay. I thought I sent this to you already, but okay, there it is. All right, Miss Sheila, it should be to your phone here in just a moment. En uno momento. As you can see, this is what our block for today is going to look like. Let me get this off my screen. It's going to drive me crazy. This is our block for today. It is called, I think it's called A Basket Full of Grapes or something like that. There we go. Nice and clear finally. Let me see. I made a copy of the instructions a couple of times so that I could draw all of it. It's called Grape Basket. It's actually called Grape Basket. When I saw it, I thought it resembled to me a flower basket. So all the pretty pieces you see up here, where am I at? Here we go. The pretty little pieces, those are all like flowers. And because I have a lot of the jelly rolls that were flowers, so that's what I did. Okay, so Roberta is... Hey, Miss Roberta! Welcome! So glad that you guys made it together and made it on. All right, read all of mine. You know what? It all went away. All I have on here is Roberta's with me, and she said hello. Hello, Miss Roberta. Let me get back up here a little bit. And where am I at? Read all of mine. Read all. Was that it, Miss Janice? Was that all of it? Just that she says hello? Or not just, but that she says hello, because thank you very much. And I'm glad you guys are out and about and getting a chance to visit. Just please be safe while you're doing it. Let me throw this away. I broke another needle today trying to go through these gobs of layers. I think there must be 7 or 8 layers just in that one little spot. And then when a couple of them go over the top of each other, then you've got like 2 or 3 or 4 extra layers just trying to get through that. So I actually broke another needle. Problem is I have yet to find the tip. So I'm not sure what happened to the tip. That worries me a little bit. I keep thinking that eventually I'm going to have to take my sewing machine just for all the missing tips that I have. All right. All right. So, have I got everybody? So far, so good? Okay. I need a drink already. I'm thirsty already. Okay, so, interestingly enough, just as a little side note here, I was so tired last night by 9 o'clock that I actually went to bed around 11. I know, still get to bed late. Conked out before I knew it and was awake by 7:30 this morning. So I got up, finished putting together my pieces for the quilt. Now I still have to put them together and I got a lot of ironing to do, but that is... I don't know. Hey, Miss Tabitha. Welcome. How are you? Haven't heard from you in ages. Okay, so I got all my strings together, all my lengths, and now I just have to iron them, and then I'm going to put them all together. And so I will have mine finished. I will post it as soon as I get it done. How's everybody else doing? I've only seen like 1 post so far for people who are getting their stuff together. All right, so this one is pretty interesting. I'm going to take a quick picture and send it to you, so you will have one to work off of, just in case following my directions stinks to high heaven. Oh, you know what? Let me grab the picture here real quick, so that you at least have both at the same time, so you can see what it looks like. All right, so I'm going to send it to come on, work with me here. All right, that's 3 right away. Then I got, yeah, I should do this stuff ahead of time, right? Brenda. All right. Who else do I need here? Roberta's already on there. Where's... Okay. The only one I'm not seeing on here is Miss Kathy. Hey, Miss Valentina. Miss Tina. How are you doing? Are you on your break today, or are you working? Are you off? It's an awfully rainy day, isn't it? All right, hang on. Let's see here. Linda. Maybe it's in... I promise, this will only take me another minute here, okay? Just give me a quick second here. Show them oopsies. Yeah, where the heck did I see that? I feel like I have like 10 different messaging groups, and having a hard time keeping track of them. God, I know, Miss Tabitha. Do you sew, honey? I don't know if you ever did that kind of stuff. Phyllis, Kathy, there we go. All right, Miss Kathy, I'm sending you a picture. Send. All right. Now, if there's anybody else on here that wants a picture, an actual layout of what we're doing, so that if we got distracted or cut off, you would still have something to go by. Miss Valentina, let me take a look here. Miss Tina. I gotta change that in here. Ah. Oh. It's gotta be here. There it is. Okay, one more, I promise, and I'm done. Sent. Okay. But again, anybody else that wants trying to get into it now, my grandmother made an amazing quilt, so I'm ready to find a hobby. Absolutely, and this is a good one to do too. I'm not gonna lie, it's not the cheapest hobby out there, okay? But it is a lot of fun, and you definitely feel a lot of creative juices flowing. And when you're done, you really feel like you've accomplished something, and then you get to pass it on to somebody, like a family member, or thank you, Miss Tina, I appreciate that. A family member or a child, you know, or somebody you know that's having a baby, and you feel like you've just passed on a warm hug. For the rest of their lives, they're going to have a warm hug from you. Isn't that great? I just love that. Okay, so what we're going to do is we have two sets here, the 8.5 by 2.5 and the 12.5 by 2.5, which, by the way, like I said, I included those instructions a little bit later today about that. So if you don't have that right now, don't worry, cut it, add it to it later. It's just an outside border anyways. I don't know what I was thinking when I was doing it. I just thought the basket was big enough and it just needed a little something extra. And then I realized it actually needed it all the way around. So that's my brain at work, right? Okay, so let me pull up my instructions here. So on one of your colors, this is the one for the solid, the Jelly Roll Cold #1 color, you're going to need to take the long 2.5 by 4.5, and you're going to need to put a, I need to have my glasses on. You're going to need to do a star tip or a half square triangle at the top like this. And for this one, if you look at the diagram that I gave you, and again, yep, Miss Janice, I sent that to you and to Miss Roberta, so you should both be getting a copy of that in your text messages. So check your text messages. Okay, so the way this goes for this one, it's going to go, and remember you have to kind of look at this. This is backwards. Let me slide this off of here for a second. Okay, so what it's going to do is you're going to go from the your top left to your bottom right. And that's going to create a cut, okay? So there's that one. Then you're going to take one of your 2.5 by 4.5s. Yep, sorry guys. Got my glasses right here. I don't know why I don't have them on already. Yep, there we go. And you're going to take another one of your color #1s, and you're going to put it up there, just like this, okay? And then for this one, you're going to do the same thing as you're doing here. You're going to go from the top left to the bottom right, okay? So for me, I'm saying top because it's the top to me, but it's the bottom to you guys. So the left to the right, left to right, okay? So both of those are going to go the same direction. Now for the very last one, you need to do another one. But since it doesn't necessarily matter, just make sure that you have a good square when you're done. Remember to check your sewing machine for tension and to make sure you have a line, something you can properly follow so you can get that half square triangle. Now for anybody who's just watching, you're welcome, Miss Janice. For anybody who's just watching who may not know what I'm talking about, when we do a half square triangle, basically we take our square, perfect square, right sides together, and we stitch from one corner all the way down through the center to the other corner. And when you flip it over, that should create a square that has 2 triangles in it. Okay, so that's a half square triangle. All right. Now, one of these whites is going to be set, 2 of these whites are going to set aside. You don't need those just yet. Now, for all of these, you should have 6 squares of either varying colors or all the same. It's whatever you wanted to do. On there, I think I recommended that you do whatever you wanted to. So you're going to take the last 6 of these. Actually, there's 7. Are there 7? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I don't know how I wanted that. Oh. Okay. And then there should be only 6 of these. Why do I have an extra one? Why do I have an extra one? Oh, because there is an extra one. Okay. We have one more. So sorry. I actually did just read these directions not that long ago. Okay, and again, we're going to do one more going from one corner all the way across to the other corner, making another half square triangle. Okay? So those are theirs. Now you should have 6 and 6 left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. Yes, okay, 6 and 6. So give me half square triangles on these as well. So take a moment, match them up, get them ready, and then we will get to stitching. Stitching. Okay. I like to say if I did the cutting, they were going to be straight, but I think it's more like if I did the cutting, they're probably going to be a little bit crooked. But nothing you can't work with. How's everybody's day going so far? I feel drained. I feel like half my day is gone. And even though I feel like I got a lot accomplished, getting up early is like, whoa, what happened to the day? Because it just zoomed right past me. Does anybody else feel like that? Like the day is just zooming past? But I did, like I said, I did get a lot done. I still had like 10 more rows to go, and I got all 10 rows done on my autumnal equinox quilt. Oh my gosh, I said it the first time, and I think I was even really close. So I got all 10 rows done. Now I just have to iron them. I got 3 more masks done. I got 1 headband, and I need to iron my corner here. Hang on. Ate breakfast. I actually ate breakfast. Ate lunch, which was breakfast again. And let's see what else. Seems like I got something else done too. Well, other than I broke a needle, but I do that pretty regular like. All right. Alrighty, now we can get started. Come on over. I actually have a chair set up over here, so I'm going to tilt me down just a little bit. You can see my little table there and everything. And pull my chair out a little bit. Yeah, last night when I was sitting in my chair, doggone thing, I was so far away that I could barely touch the foot pedal. All right, so for this first one, we're going to go to the top left corner and we're going to stitch it. Oh, hang on. And let's see. Turn that down just a little bit. There we go. Okay, so we're going to start at the top left. Actually, you know what? It is so much easier when you start in the center. So since we know that where it's the bottom, what we're going to do though then is we're going to turn it around so that when we end up, we're going to be going from the right to the left. So this way, from the right all the way up to the left. And what that does, I know we talked, Miss Jerry mentioned it too, what that does is it takes the surprise from the needle pushing that little itty bitty piece of fabric right there into the throat. So this way there's more fabric and it's less likely to push that in there, okay? Now normally what they recommend is you draw a line from one point to the other point so that you know, so that you follow that line exactly. What I've done is we had a recommendation from one of our viewers to take a piece of tape, draw the line down the middle and line it up with your needle so that the tip, what's following right here, the tip of the fabric is following this line. And if you do that, you should end up with a very accurate half square triangle. And it's still going to wind up pushing that thread in there. Start a little bit more in there. Okay, and then this one, and hopefully this will work out well and it won't grab that fabric like it did on the first one. All right, so then these though, we're gonna have to push them in just a little bit more right here. Push this tip in underneath that needle just a little bit further to keep that needle from grabbing a hold of it. And then line it up with my line. I know Miss Jerry said that she backstitches a little bit. I have not had any luck with that. My needle still tries to push that in there. So like I mentioned before, I do have another throat plate that has just a little dot on it instead of the really wide, so you can do zigzag. But if I did that, then I have to keep switching it back and forth, and I'm probably just too lazy for that. So as long as it just keeps ironing open well, then I don't worry about it. My biggest thing is when I iron it, I want it to, you know, to make a nice line on the fabric. And as long as I'm still being able to, you know, iron open a nice line on that, a nice seam, then I'm not going to worry. Okay. All right, so once you get these lined up like that, they actually go very, very quickly, which is kind of nice. But I'm not gonna lie, this is not the easiest pattern I did. In fact, I had to keep referring back to the page just to get it right. So, and I even had to rip out one whole set of seams because I managed to sew the wrong seam together. So last night I went through all of the squares. All right, that was my last one. So I went through all my squares last night just to see how many I had, because according to, you know, what number we're on, we should be at number 20, right? Ta-da, guess what, we're not. We're actually at 19 because one of the blocks that we did do was a long one that actually makes up 3 across. So we still need one more. So here is my ask. So for this last square that you need to do, I want you to pick out any square you want to do. Just make sure it's 12.5 by 12.5. Now, what I was thinking was I was going to do a another set of 4 6s, 4 6.5 by 6.5 squares, so that I can kind of mix in a couple of the rows with a couple of half ones. So 2 6s on top, and then put another block in between them. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to find something. I'm actually thinking like a pine tree or something. Just do a tree. You can do some really interesting ones with doing the tips like this. So I'm actually thinking of doing a tree, a set of trees for that, just to kind of, well, I mean, it's a very interesting series of blocks anyway, so I think a tree would go very nice with that. Okay, so what I'm doing right now is I'm going to cut off approximately 1/4 inch down to the end. As you see, it's not necessarily straight, and that's okay because that seam is not important now. What's important is to make sure that from here to here is still 4.5 inches, and from here to here is still 2.5 inches. Okay? So I'm going to go ahead and check my squares. So when I say that, it just means I'm going to flip it open and make sure that when I fold it out, that still creates that square that I'm looking for. If for some reason it doesn't, then I have to either check the other side or I have to rip the seams out and do it again. But usually if it doesn't work on one side, if you flip it over on the other side, then it does actually make the right kind of square. So I think this is going to be the one. Sometimes you can look at it and see, because your seam is actually not always exactly on the center. Sometimes it's over just a little bit, and that's actually not necessarily a bad thing, because it helps to make a better square. Yep, so far so good. Last one. All right, looks good. So since I know that these two make up my square, I'm just going to go ahead and hack off this back side here. And I've already folded them over so they kind of have a bit of a seam, so I know exactly which ones not to hack off and which ones I can hack off. Okay. And then after we're done, we're going to iron these open. And again, I would probably go ahead and iron open the seams on these. There's really not a lot of bulk, but it's still going to be enough. Enough that it's going to make you crazy. Okay. And here, once again, this is our clapboard, what is also known as a pressing bar. If you don't have one and you need one, you can find them on my Etsy, which is Robbalee SRQ Quilter. Robbalee SRQ Quilter, and it may have an S at the end. I don't quite remember. So you can find them in my Etsy shop. They're only $10. I think the shipping is like $5, but that helps me cover the shipping and the cost of making sure it makes it to you in a very good condition. So I don't just ship it in a paper bag. It's shipped in nice little packaging. Okay, the other thing we have is our little ironing board. I love this thing, and it's great for piecing because it's just small and you can move it around very easily, and you can kind of tuck it away when you don't need it and pull it back out when you do. Anything larger, ironing board is absolutely a necessity. Okay. Now those are not on my Etsy, by the way. Those are at Bits and Pieces, which is right here in town in Bradenton. And Miss Linda is always happy to help sell you one. They're only $20. Like I said, best $20 I ever spent. And this pressing bar is also the best $10 I've ever spent. And those are really good prices on these things, because the pressing bars usually go for a lot more. Now, if you're wondering why you'd want to use a pressing bars help to hold the seam open so that you can iron that seam open, and it keeps the fabric from puckering. If you've ever tried to open a seam on your ironing board, it's like it just twists and turns. This keeps it from doing that, and it just makes a beautiful seam. I love it. And if it's a little bit bigger piece, you can start at one end and just run the nose of the iron down the center, and it just opens it right up. And I love that. And for anybody who is new on here, hey, Miss Brenda, glad you made it on. And for anybody who is new on here, the money for the pressing boards does not, or the pressing bars does not go to me. That is for my dear sweet friend who does these, and I just do them. I just put them on there for her. A little bit extra money. She's my wonderful retired lady, and I love her. She's wonderful. When I first started in the guild, it was her and Miss Sheila and a few of the other ladies who were very, very welcoming, very warm, and just made my whole experience of, you know, joining a guild absolutely fabulous. And, you know, I'm so grateful that that they were there to be my first people that I met. Good attitudes, every one of them. That's why I was putting that on. Okay. You know, and so often that is so important because we don't realize the impact we have. All it takes is one harsh word and it'll turn someone away. And it's so important to be so, you know, to be welcoming. You know, we may have a lot on our minds, a lot on our plates, but if we don't greet people and tell them how happy we are to have them walk through our door, they won't walk that second time through there. So it's always important to make sure that we're taking the time to say hello to the new people. Even if you think someone's got it handled, you know, don't. You know, make sure you're putting yourself out there. You never know, you might meet your next best friend. Alrighty, got all those seams pressed. Now we're going to start laying this out. And the best thing to do is to go ahead and lay it out, pin it together, and then we can start sewing it. Now, if you look at your diagram, which I have one right here, like I said, if you need it, give me a call, and I will send you a just a quick picture of it so you can see what goes where. So if we start at the bottom left-hand corner, this is the very first block we're going to lay. This is the very first block we're going to put down. I'm going to turn this down just a little bit so you can see me. And I'll try to angle it towards you guys so you can see it. Now, of course, remember, this is backwards. So don't necessarily, you know, just go by what you see here, okay? Make sure you're following along on the instructions. I'm trying to make sure I get it in a good spot here.
Grandma,
yes, sweetie.
Cookies?
Can you ask Grandpa? Because I'm on live. Yes, you ask Grandpa. All right, and then we're going to need one of these, and it's going to go right here, okay? And then the very next one we're going to do is we're going to need one of these. I'm not used to doing these backwards. I still haven't got the hang of that. Okay, that one's going to go there. And then this one is going to go there. Now for these, I wanted to put the, oops, upside down. I wanted to put all my leaves. I picked my leaves to go here. So I know this one's going to go here, and this one's going to go here. Then I need this one here, just like that. This last piece is going to go right here, okay? And then my last pieces are going to go here, and here, and here. Okay, so this is my whole block set up, right? Just like this. And of course I have my 8s and my 12 over here off the side, and we'll put those on last. So what I did earlier is I just went down the line and just did like these and then added this piece. So let's go ahead and put this piece and this piece together. Yeah, I hate those long ones. Okay, and then we're going to put this piece to this piece. And I'm going to leave the other ones laid out just like they are. Any of the ones I don't use or don't pin, I'm going to leave them just like they are. So put this one and then this one together. What did Grandpa say? Apparently he said yes because you're chewing on one now. Grandpa say okay?
No.
I don't want it. You can eat that cookie.
No, I just want to show you.
Oh, okay. But Grandpa said it was okay?
Yeah.
Okay, I figured you would. You had lunch. Okay, now we have 4 pieces that we are ready to start stitching. So let's go ahead and get those on. And remember to keep a really nice tight 1/4 inch seam. Stitch right up to the pin, pull the pin at the last minute. And bring in the next piece. Now go out there with Grandpa, honey. Oh, I know, Debbie. I love these colors. They are so cool. You love them too, Miss Brenda? You never know, this might go faster than I think it is. All right, so let's go ahead and pull pins, snip apart. Now that was called chain piecing. And I actually probably ought to take the time to change out that thread because I think I still have my other thread in there. Okay, there's that piece. So we're going to lay these back out again. All right. So far, so good. Let's go ahead and iron open those. Ooh, where'd you go? Sorry. Iron open those seams real quick. Because now that we're going to lay on the next row, we want to make sure that the seams are right. Okay. Now tomorrow, after you're done with your secondary block, because you're going to need another block, we're going to start putting it together. We're going to lay it out on a design board, and we're going to talk about it and see if we can't get our blocks exactly the way we like it. Now, if you don't have a design wall or a design board, you do have a design bed. I did a lot of designs and mixing and matching of fabrics and stuff on my bed, because that was always the one place I had that I could lay everything out, see what it looked like. I designed a whole Sunbonnet Sue right there in my bedroom on the bed. My husband like, isn't it time for bed yet? I'm like, no, not yet. Not yet. Don't go to sleep yet. So, you know, you make do. Now, some people wonder, what is a design wall? Basically, a design wall is just some place that you can lay out your fabric and be able to look at it. Now, the neat thing is that you can use the felt that you can buy by the yard at Joann's or Amazon or wherever you buy your fabric from. You can buy felt by the yard, and you just buy, you know, basically you're looking at it, so maybe 2 yards of felt, and it's usually at least 60 wide. And you get enough, and you can pin it to a wall. You can lay it across some 2x4s. You can hang it up on your curtains and just use your curtains. But the neat thing about it is as long as you can keep that flat, you can lay your blocks on this thing and it hangs on to them. Now, if you're really having, you know, OCD and the thing doesn't want to hang, you know, doesn't want to hold on to your blocks, and you can pin them up there. You can put corkboard on your walls and use that as a design wall. You know, there's a lot of ways to do this so that, you know, you don't have to spend a fortune on a design wall. I know Miss Jerry said she just finally bought one for herself and, you know, spent a nice little chunk of change on it. And mine is basically, you know, a huge piece of felt with some of that thick, I don't want to say insulation, but that's what it's used for. It's like a thick styrofoam with a metal backing, and that's what I use in my long arm room. Is that with felt on it, and it's kind of laying at an angle against the wall, so I feel like it gives it the more staying power. So you don't have to spend a lot of money on a design wall. You can do it cheap. And those little boards, I think I bought 2 8-foot, and I actually bought them so that I could block my quilts, but I think I've only ever blocked 2. I probably should block more, but I don't. And that just means that basically you wet them and you let them dry stretched out in a proper square so that they are square for, especially for competition. That is one thing they're looking for, to see if your quilt is square. That much I have learned. Okay. All right, come on back over here. Let's lay these out one more time. See where they're going. Make sure they're heading in the right direction. And it just amazes me when you start looking at these and how simple these little squares are. And then when you put them together, some of the most beautiful things are made with this. You know, and you're like, wow, how? Okay, so this is the last piece we need to do. So the very next thing I'm going to do after we iron our seams open is I'm going to go ahead and connect these 2 pieces so I can get this piece on there. Okay, so let's go ahead and do some ironing. I need to do some ironing. Okay. Miss Tabitha, you still on with us? Now, Miss Tabitha was one of the people that I was teaching how to make, gosh, I think it was that year, teddy bears. Everybody had a pattern they had to follow, and they had to stitch it together, and they all had to do it by hand. I mean, they didn't have sewing machines, so they did these teddy bears, and they were just little small bears. They weren't huge, but I'll tell you what, sometimes it's harder working on these small bears than it is on the big bears. But I loved those teddy bears. They were so cute. And I actually had a couple students that almost finished them. I don't think it was any of my children, but it was a couple of students. But I had all the stuff for it, so they could have movable arms and movable heads and do all kinds of really cool things. All right, let me throw this back together real quick so I can figure out which two are which. Okay, and then this piece up here, and here. All right, and then when I put this piece down here. So, very next thing we're gonna do is we're just gonna go ahead and put these two together, and we can go ahead and put these two together too. Now there still are some seams, so you wanna make sure you're matching up these seams too, okay? Now when I say matching up seams, these are hard to see right here, but if you look, there's a seam here, and there's a seam here, and you wanna make sure those are matching up. Da, 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 da. Somebody said, since I miss the music so much, I should try singing. No. No, I do not have a melodious voice. In fact, it would be downright terrifying. People would go shrieking from the room. All right, now, the interesting thing is you are going to have two pieces that are going to cross over each other. Take a look at that. These two pieces are actually going to cross over each other, but the trick is where they cross is where you want your 1/4 inch seam. So, take a pin, stick it where you think it's going to cross over, and just take a look, and ta-da! And that looks like a nice 4/4 inch seam. So right there is where it's going to cross over. Okay, or at least we hope. And then over here. All right, got that one together, and now we're going to put these two together. And again, you still have some seams you have to follow. So make sure you're paying attention to your seams and following your 1/4 inch. And it is getting bulky. Glad we did that. Glad we opened up those seams. May, I would really like it if you would take that. How about taking that in the bedroom? May, can you take it in the bedroom, please? Pretty please? With sugar on top? Okay, come on over here. Let's get these seams together.
Hello, Chris Vlog.
I don't know about y'all, but I have lightning in my back window over here. Oh, sorry. Guess I got you kind of far away from me. So sorry. I have lightning over here. What about you guys? You guys got lightning? I'm just hoping. I hope I unplugged mine. And with these thick seams, you're really not going to be able to get over the top of those needles. So make sure you pull them out just before you get there, okay? And it does not want to get past it now. All right, there we go. Smooth as silk, right? Okay. Miss Brenda, how was all those storms you had at your house yesterday? Because I think they made their way here. I think they migrated here. In fact, I'm pretty sure they did. When you told me you were having storms over there yesterday, I was like, yep, they'll be here anytime now. Up one of my points. Let's see. Yeah, it's not too bad. It's livable. Okay, come on back over. I'm gonna need the iron. Y'all, how are we doing on time? Oh, not too bad. We should be done right at 4:30. And then I have to go run and pick up some fabric. Believe it or not, I had a shipment of fabric come in. I can't wait to see it. This is one of those times when that bump is so thick right there that I can't even get past it with the iron. That and my seam was splitting. I didn't stitch it all the way to the edge. Okay, one down. Now, if tonight you guys feel froggy and you want to go ahead and see about putting your quilt together, please feel free. You know, you don't have to wait on me, but I will wait till tomorrow and I will do it together with you guys. And we'll be live in my garage. Hopefully my internet will reach that far. Usually it does. Okay. So this goes this way, this one goes this way, and then this one goes down here. And we're just going to make sure, yep, that this goes this way. And these are the last two we have to put on here besides our border. May, I really need to take that in the other room, honey. I do not know why that particular spot keeps getting in trouble. Okay. One more to iron open. Alrighty. Doing good, y'all. Do I still have you on? Is everybody still with me? So I have started laying out for the, oh, thank you. I've started laying out for the next session, but I am going to take a little bit of time just to relax for a little bit. Because even though these are really not that stressful, I mean, it's only an hour, but believe it or not, a lot goes into preparing a quilt block every day. Because I don't do just one, I actually do two. And you guys have been great about making me try to take more time, and I appreciate that, because probably if you guys didn't push me for it, I would probably try to do it more than I'm physically capable of doing it this time. So thank you so much for that. But I do plan on taking probably about a week and see if I can work out the logistics on the next quilt. All right, definitely gonna have to ease some fabric here. Ugh, I hate those long ones. When you're quilting, the long needles just aren't very helpful. Okay, let's get this other side on real quick. And then we're left to borders, and that part actually is fairly easy. I'm going to backstitch just a little bit on this one. Alright, so I was tugging just a little bit to try to ease that in, and what that does is that causes the feed dogs underneath it to slip some of the fabric a little bit at a time into the fuller part of the fabric. And so that hopefully will help make a big difference in how much fabric gets eased in. Hopefully I didn't mess it up. looks pretty good. I think it eased in there very nicely. Yeah, look at there. Points aren't half bad, huh? Not too bad. Not too shabby. All right, let's iron that open. I keep looking behind me and that my ironing board is right here next to me. So here's the problem. This is only an 8.5 inch block. For whatever reason, I thought it was a 10.5 inch block and I only needed the one side on there. But I quickly realized that was not the case. So that's why we have 2 for each side. 2 8.5 by 12, 2 8.5 by 2.5, and 2 12.5 by 2.5. God, did I say that right? For some reason, I don't think I said that right. Two each jelly roll strips of 2 8.5 inches long and 2 12.5 inches long. There. I think I said it that time. And I got little pieces I need to iron, get off of there. Yep. I always do that. When going backwards, I always mess it up. All right, let me trim off a few of these little trips here. A few of these little pieces. So yeah, I think I'm going to take about a week off, get that ready. What I would like to do, I noticed that on this log cabin, some of those blocks have like 22 pieces, but I thought if we could agree on a color, I could cut out what you need for like 5 blocks at a time, 4 or 5 blocks at a time, and then we could all work with not necessarily the same color, because I would like to try and make it, you know, everybody have a little bit of something different. But if we went with like the same color scheme, like browns or yellows or reds or greens or something, then I could find enough colors that we could, you know, work with that. So you guys give me your ideas on that. There would be some cost involved. I'm kind of thinking like $10 or $15 a week should help cover the cost of the fabrics, and I would just mail all the fabric out to you or deliver it to you on a weekly basis. All right, so we're stitching down the 8.5 on one side, and it doesn't matter which side you do. Because all sides should be the same. And kind of what I noticed almost right off the bat was that my sides are a little bit off, which is typical. They were on the other one too. But when you have a lot of seams like that, especially if you're not careful, you'll wind up with extra. And then one isn't. And it's always the same one. Doggone it. Okay. Got our 2 8.5s on. I usually start with the smallest number first because you're going to be putting these on next to those. And I probably would not recommend it any other way because it wouldn't work. You'd have to do an L seam. Nobody wants to do an L seam. It's almost as bad as a Y seam.
Papa.
I am not done.
Oh, I want the
May.
place to go.
May. Okay. Love the idea. Love all colors. Oh, that's good. That's good. Now I know that, you know, some people probably have a full, you know, load of stash somewhere in their house, and you probably have enough colors to handle that, and that's fine. We don't have to do it that way. I would, if we did it though, I would need a few people that could do it because of the cost of the fabric. I don't mind that I don't charge much for it, but it, you know, I'd have to have a few people do it to make it work. So if you know of anybody that missed out on this one but would like to try it the next time, let's see how many people we can get to do it. Okay. Did I just cut that the wrong size? Nope, they're exactly the same. Okay. It's just me. Alright, so that's that one. Wow. Am I really off on this? What did I do? Nope, it's me. My block is way off. So that should be 12 and a half, and I'm off by almost, I would say, almost a full inch. That one looks good. That one doesn't. That one doesn't. That one looks like the fabric shifted. Let's see if we can fix a couple of these seams. Move this back here. I'm actually going to rip that apart real quick. Oh, sorry. Come on. Over here. Okay. As you can tell, things don't always go sometimes the way you want them to. So I'm going to rip out just a few stitches and fix my issue real quick. I think when I was ironing it open, I thought, my goodness, somehow that does not look right. Now I know why, because it wasn't right. One, that's a pretty good chunk of seam that was messed up. And this one, how did that one wind up so messed up? I don't know, y'all. Some days I think I just have off days. Doesn't everybody? Say, Mary Jean Irene is doing a live tomorrow morning if you're interested. Yes, that would be great. I would love to do that. What's her live on, Miss Sheila? I remember this one. I remember when I was doing it, I thought, ugh, something's not right about that one either. I'm just having an off day, I guess. I think it's just being up too early. I was awake way too early. Come back here, start back here. All right, that should do it. What a good day to be cuddled up with a book or some hand stitching or something like that. Facebook from her shop, Mary Jean What? That name sounds so familiar, but for whatever reason, I am not placing it. What am I missing? And it's still way off. That's okay. You know what? I'm going to put it on here anyways, and I will just ease my fabric in. That's a lot of easing. And there's one of those long needles. Okay. See how bad I did on the other side. That was probably a little better. It is a little better. One of my off days. Okay. This is why it's so important to make sure that you're doing your seams the right size, the right seam allowance, because you will be so far off on these. Tug to let the feed dogs pull in some of that fabric from the bottom, and it's really good to use to let them do the easing of the fabric. Only because, unless of course your fabric is weak, and then I wouldn't recommend it because it'll rip your fabric apart. This one I have a little more easing to do. It's so funny because usually this fabric is the one fabric that I don't have to worry about. It usually goes very, very smoothly. And for today, not so much. All right. Ouch. Got me again. Thought I pulled that. No blood. Alrighty, here we go. Spray it, iron it, and that should take a lot of that bubbling out. And there we go. One more block done. Now, again, we have one more block to do, so make sure that tonight or tomorrow, whenever it's convenient for you, to go ahead and from the faux lock hem. Oh yeah, that's right. Thank you. I couldn't remember how I knew her. Anyways, okay. Well, that's good. Yeah, definitely get her information to me so we can all be on together. I would love that. So this is the block for today, and remember, the next block is whatever block you want to make, okay? And then tomorrow we're going to get together and we're going to start putting it together, and hopefully by tomorrow we can at least have it on the design wall or figure it out, and then we can go through at least 1 row, 2 rows, and then see how that goes. All right, ladies, this was fun. I am officially wore out. You know, it's funny, being up at 7:30 this morning, by 2 o'clock I was definitely in my 2 p.m. slump. I was ready for a nap. And so I told my husband, so he fed me lunch, which was actually another breakfast. We had pancakes. And after that, I was like, oh, okay, I'm awake now. I'm wide awake. All right, well, ladies, this has been so much fun. Thank you. Always wanted to try this block. Really? Me too. This one did not quite go as well as that one did. That one actually wound up being a lot flatter than this one. So I got a little bit of doctoring I need to do to this. And like I said, you know, just spray it down with some water, use an iron, and that will help to take out some of that. It'll kind of make it size it up, so it'll be a little bit better. Not quite as bulky. But my points look good, other than that little snafu I had there. If you have any questions or comments, please, please, please feel free to post it on my wall. I try to check it every hour or two, usually about every hour, to make sure that I'm answering any questions that you guys may have. And also, for those of you who have posted on my my reviews, thank you so much. Those reviews were so beautiful. If you haven't had a chance to, I would so appreciate it if you would just put a review on my wall. The better reviews I get, the better this goes, because I don't know if I told you the story, but at the very beginning, I had a guy come on and basically rated me at a 0, said he'd never done quilting before, had no idea what this was, and that was his review. So I got a 0 on a review of a guy who doesn't even do quilting, and I have no idea who he was, but it just tanked me right from the very beginning. I'm like, really? I don't even know you. I never dealt with you before, and you gave me a 0. Okay, thank you, people. Anyways, he may not even realize what he'd done, but I'm just going to give him the benefit of the doubt and say he didn't know it. So the more good reviews I get, the higher it'll pull that back up. And, you know, it's always important to have nice reviews. When you look at a place to go to shop, and you look at the reviews, you're like, okay, well, this one says that their help is really crappy, and this one says that it's great, off the charts, wonderful. Which one are you going to go to? You're going to go to the one that says, you know, that everything was great and off the charts. So that's why, you know, those reviews are so important, and more people actually look at the reviews. So if you would, thank you so much for taking the time to put a review in there for me. And don't forget, I do have my Etsy shop. I did actually get my videos posted to YouTube, so feel free to go in there, send your friends to YouTube as well, you know, let them check it out. Maybe they've got a block they like to do, or they said, oh, I have a jelly roll, I don't know what to do. Send them to my jelly roll, mystery jelly roll fun. This was a lot of fun. I can't wait. I can't wait to see what everybody has. You know, the colors are so different and so much fun. I just can't wait to see them all. All right. You guys, thank you so much. You have been wonderful, and I will see you tomorrow at 3:30, and we're going to get our blocks put together. All right? Have a wonderful evening. Call me if you need me. Mwah.